Have you signed with SUNS?
I haven't signed with the SUNS, no, but talks are going pretty well, and hopefully pretty soon something should get done. But it looks all positive from my end.
Okay, so we could see you in SUNS gear next year. Confident?
Yeah, I'm confident, very confident. Just the little things the manager and the club are working through, but all indications from my management and the club, it all looks pretty positive, and the CBA's done now. So hopefully in the coming weeks, maybe even sooner, we should hear something.
Is that all you were really waiting for, the CBA? Was that just part of the finer stuff, or was there something to do with on-field?
A small part of it, but it was more just the timing. The club and my management have been in constant dialogue for the last few weeks, but I've sort of just been focused on my footy. I've been sort of up and down, and I didn't know when was the perfect time to sort of sit down and talk about it. But it does look pretty positive, and yeah, like I said, hopefully very soon we should come to a verdict.
There's been talk about interest from Melbourne clubs and elsewhere. Have you taken any of that into consideration, or have you had to weigh things up along the way?
Yeah, it's sort of funny. Sometimes you read an article about that you're linked to a club that you've never spoken to, and so I guess that's all part of it. And coming out of contract and being a new captain, it's always going to be a talking point. But no, that hasn't really been something I've addressed. I think that's just media speculation. Does
it amuse you watching all these things unfold when
yeah,
you're out of contract?
Yeah, definitely. It is sort of amusing. But I'm not Nat Fyfe or Dustin Martin, and they're in the media every day, so I'm pretty lucky in that sense. But it is sort of amusing at sometimes.
I guess the real reason we're here is you're celebrating your 100th game this weekend. How does that feel to reach a milestone? It's no Gary up at 300.
Yeah, I feel bad overshadowing Gaz's 300th in the same weekend, but no, it is it's a privilege to play along Gaz in his 300th, and yeah, it does make my milestone look pretty insignificant, but I'm extremely proud to make to 100 games. I've probably only played 40 good games, so I'm pretty lucky that I got a few games early in my career, but now I'm starting to feel like a legitimate AFL player, and yeah, I certainly belong in the team, and I'm starting to, I think after 100 games you start to really, come of age a bit and cement yourself as a good player in the comp, and that's one of my goals.
Yeah, because with Gary, we're not overshadowing you, because you're overshadowing him, but he said the average player, is 4 to 5 seasons, and for you to get 100 games, did you think that as a kid?
No, and I watched Gary's interview last week, and it's the same. I just wanted to play one AFL game and be able to tell people that I played, a single AFL game. And obviously with the great Malcolm Blyde here, he's very good with stats, and he's explained to me that only 15% of players play 100 games. So if you think about the history of the game, it's a pretty big achievement. 100 games these days isn't so big, but when you think about the history of the game, Malcolm's a legend now, but I'm certainly very proud of my achievement.
Steve, at what point did you feel like you'd made yourself in the AFL? Was it 70, 80 games in, or was it only recently that you really felt where you wanted to be?
Yeah, probably in the last couple of years. So I'd played 50, 60 games, and I still felt like I was on the edge. And everyone still plays like you're on the edge, but I felt like I could get dropped any moment. And I suppose that plays on your mind a little bit when you do have a bad game. You got to think about the team things, but you're worried that you might get dropped. So it was 60, sort of 70 games in that I actually started to feel okay, I belong here. And now my goal is to just take that next step and be a really good player in the comp, not just an average player. So I've got a lot of work to do, but 100 games almost down. I've got to play this week, of course, and and then set new goals.
You became captain before your 100th game. It's pretty impressive. And how have you found that this year, and what kind of effects has it had on you as a player, both on the field and off the field as well?
I suppose you feel the pressure a bit more. You sort of see what Gary goes through. He had that bad game in round 2, and the media are all over him. And thankfully, I haven't really received any treatment like that just yet. But you do feel that added responsibility. But I put my hand up for that when the job came about. So it wasn't something I was naive to, and I knew what expected of me. But I enjoy it. You have added responsibility and expectation, but I have high expectations of myself anyway, so it's nothing that really bothers me.
Steve, your form looks like it's a little bit up and down this year. I guess, firstly, is that fair, do you think? And has the captaincy weighed on you to a level where it might impact your form a little bit?
No, the captaincy hasn't come into it really. Sometimes it's just dropping a few marks and missing a couple of kicks that can, have an impact on your game. But yeah, I've had some good weeks and certainly have some down weeks, and I think every player sort of goes through that, unless you are Gary Ablett, who has one bad game out of his 300 odd. So it is something that plays on your mind. But it's just like, even if I wasn't the captain, I have those same standards in myself. And if I'm not playing well, it's doing film study and my new opponent, and working with Andy Lovell, my defenders coach, and trying to work out how I can get back into good form.
And what? I was going to ask about Tom. Like, he's had a rough couple of weeks, and you're a co-captain with him. Do you speak with him, and how do you think he's dealing with that at the moment?
No, he's actually pretty up and about. The thing with Tom is he sets such high standards. We saw last year he was outstanding. So for him not to be hitting those performances this year, he's had a couple of really good games and a couple of down games. But it's the same like myself. I suppose being a full forward, you get a bit more heaped on you if you don't kick a goal. But he's certainly doing everything he can. His work rate's up. He's again just missing a couple of goals. He could add a few goals to each week to his name, but he's certainly a very competitive man, and he's doing everything he can to get back into that, all-Australian form that we know he can do.
So you don't think it's the co-captaincy that's adding that extra pressure for him to go through that slump?
No, I certainly don't think so. If he wasn't even the co-captain and he wasn't kicking goals or dominating games, he'd be in the exact same mindset. Maybe in the back of his mind he understands, but his leadership hasn't changed, and his voice around the rooms and his attitude at the club during the week hasn't changed, and that's what we ask from him as a co-captain.
You and Rocket are both so comfortable with where he is at the moment, despite him going through that kind of slump. Is that because of his work ethic? Because he works so hard that even when he's off, you're so confident he'll come through it?
Yeah, it's not like it's through a lack of work rate. He's running the 15 Ks that he does, and he's hitting as many contests. He's just dropping a couple of marks and missing a couple of goals, which as football players we all go through. And like I said to Fish earlier, my own form, you drop a few marks in a game, a few intercept marks, and miss a couple of kicks, you suddenly have a bad game. And fortunately, as a full forward, you miss a couple of goals, they write goalless rather than he had 2 shots on goal. So Rocket and myself and the rest of the leadership group and the team, we've no doubt that he's going to hit those performances soon. It's just something that he's going through, and he's working extremely hard to get out of that.
Yeah, with your own game, you spent a bit of time this year kind of being a new role, kind of going into a bit more of a mobile role, so you can get that space and move forward. Has that been part of the challenge? Have you found that? And where do you think your best footy is? Do you think it's there, or do you think it's kind of going back and playing like you were in the last couple?
Yeah, certainly. I think that's had an impact on my form. A new role, sort of playing third tall when Jackie Les and Rory Thompson are in the team. It's something I'm not used to. I've always sort of played on the best forward and played deep. But it's trying to add another string to my bow. And like I said before, I want to become a really good player in the AFL, and to do that, you got to be able to play a variety of positions, not just the one. Because as you can see, every forward line has a different setup, and you can't just rely on playing on that one key forward. So that has had an impact, but I'm learning it week in, week out. And that's the only way I'm going to get better, is playing. And if I don't play well, I'll learn from that performance and hopefully rectify next week.
Coming out of that loss against the Saints, what was the biggest thing as a whole team sort of took away from that? Because Rocket was pleased with the effort, but still a loss. So,
yeah, because the effort was there. The contest was there. St Kilda are a great contested ball and tackle team, and we matched them. It was our turnovers. If you give a team a 9-goal, sort of head start for those turnovers, you can't win. And I think that's the most frustrating thing. And with a young group, you can't overcoach them too much and say, no, we don't want you to take those hard kicks, because we do, because we know they're good enough to execute. It's just, for whatever reason, we missed a couple, and Saints, they were very good at making us pay. And if we can hit those targets and limit our turnovers, we'll definitely win more games than we lose.
So you're getting close to something good?
Very close, very close. Tidy up a few of those skill errors and keep our contest what it was on the weekend, and we'll be competitive every week.
What did you learn from North, maybe last time you played them? Like, you played them once this year already, and now you've got them around again this weekend.
I feel like that was a game that got away. North ended up taking their chances. We missed a few goals, but I was suspended that game and watching on TV, so it's always hard. But they're a very tough inside team, and we feel like we've got some balls in our midfield as well. So Zeeble, Cunnington and Swallow and Miller going at it, it's an exciting matchup. But same as St Kilda and same as any team, we'll back ourselves in. As long as we can limit our turnovers and keep our contest where it needs to be, we'll be competitive.
Have you spoken to Gary? Is he expecting to play? Is he confident of playing? How's he?
Yeah, Gaz. So he sort of thought he was playing last week and got ruled out. That's a sports scientist's job to maintain the well-being of the player. But last week he was pretty disappointed to miss out, and he's pretty confident this week. But he's got to tick all the boxes and train, of course, because you can't have 2 weeks off not training and play. But he's a very proud man and a massive achievement coming up for him. So I have no doubt he's going to do everything he can to get up this week.
Maisie, you're 5-8, I think, at the moment, and a lot of tough games ahead. How do you keep going towards finals? Do you still have a certain belief that you can get there?
Well, the lucky thing for us is this comp's so even this year, and you might only need 10, maybe 11 wins to make finals. Touch wood, hopefully that a few other teams lose, but it's still achievable and it's still a goal for us. And if we are ruled out of the finals at any stage, we're certainly going to help shape that 8, because it could be you could just miss out on percentage this year, and we're a very competitive team and we want to be remain like that for the rest of the year. And if that means it come down to round 23 and we're out of the finals race, we certainly won't be throwing it in.
Maisie, do you think your deal will be done like this week, next week?
Katie, I'll let you know when I know, but I don't know yet. So I can't, yeah.
Thank you.
All right, cheers.